It's time once again. Wait a minute. Do you hear it? Another Moment with Bob, brought to you by your friends at Offshore Drilling. And the subject this time, I wish we'd stop doing this. Hey, Mike, the dominant culture of the United States and most of the countries on this earth is capitalism. We were taught all about it in school. We were told it was God's will in church. We work with it during the day. It pours out of our televisions when we come home. And the only time we can escape from it is when we are asleep. Maybe. Corporate capitalism dominates our planet. We can describe it as an economic system that became dominant in the Western world following the demise of feudalism, or we can describe it as a self-devouring beast. Your choice. I don't care. Either description is accurate. All I know is it's a capitalist world. We just live in it. Gore Vidal wrote in 1977 the following, quote, "There is only one party in the United States, the Property Party, and it has two right wings, Republican and Democrat. Republicans are a bit stupider, more rigid, more doctrinaire in their laissez-faire capitalism than the Democrats, who are cuter, prettier, and more willing than the Republicans to make small adjustments when the poor, the black, the anti-imperialists get out of hand. But essentially there is no difference between the two parties," end quote. And here's one of my favorite George Carlin rants, quote, "Now, there's one thing you might have noticed. I don't complain about politicians. Everybody complains about politicians. Everybody says they suck. Well, where do people think these politicians come from? They don't fall out of the sky. They don't pass through a membrane from another reality. They come from American parents and American families, American homes, American schools, American churches, American businesses, and American universities, and they are elected by American citizens. This is the best we can do, folks. This is what we have to offer. It's what our system produces. Garbage in, garbage out," end quote. A capitalist system produces more capitalists. Garbage in, garbage out. The 434 members of the U.S. House of Representatives and 99 U.S. senators are capitalists. The President of the United States is a capitalist. Every yahoo trying to be the Republican candidate for the presidency in 2012 is a capitalist. Go ahead. Prove it to yourself. Email your elected representative in the United States Congress and ask them if they're a capitalist. Everybody but Senator Bernie Sanders will say yes. The justices of the Supreme Court are nominated by the President of the United States and appointed after confirmation by the United States Senate. The 9 justices of the Supreme Court are capitalists. Big surprise. What the hell? I'll throw caution to the winds and go way out on a limb and say it looks like capitalism is fairly well established here. Capitalism's pathological pursuit of profit and power is A, a neat example of alliteration, and B, the engine of destruction killing the planet and ourselves. Our air, water, and land is fouled because it boosts the corporate bottom line. Our food is genetically modified, grown using toxic chemicals, and then refined to the point where it has little or no nutritional value to increase profits. Our healthcare system is designed to make money from people suffering and illness. Our social safety net programs are being dismantled while trillions of taxpayer dollars are funneled to the richest people in the world. And last but not least, as Socrates said, quote, "All wars are fought for money," end quote. Capitalists have corrupted our political and judicial systems, our media, and have successfully eroded the gains that labor and civil rights movements have made in this country. Anyone who doesn't agree with everything I've just written is delusional. Who else is to blame? Socialists? Commies? Muslims? Catholics? Jews? Black or brown people? Martians? From Wikipedia, quote, "In U.S. criminal law, means, motive, and opportunity is a popular cultural summation of the 3 aspects of a crime needed to convince a jury of guilt in a criminal proceeding. Respectively, they refer to the ability of the defendant to commit the crime, that's the means, the reason the defendant had to commit the crime, that's the motive, and whether or not the defendant had the chance to commit the crime, that's opportunity," end quote, Wikipedia. Capitalists are the only group that had the means, motive, and opportunity to destroy the country. I rest my case. Now that that's settled, I only have one more question. Why do we keep voting for these people? Seriously. Why do we get all hot and bothered about which capitalist gets elected to whatever office? What if crazy Michelle Bachmann and seriously deranged Rick Santorum become our next president and vice president? Pick any of the Looney Tunes and imagine them goofing around in the Oval Office. Is Rick Perry with his coloring books and chocolate milk a scarier notion than Willard Romney modeling suits during cabinet meetings? Does it make you feel better to visualize 4 more years of Barack Obama at the helm of state? Why? Capitalism reigns regardless. Or should I say, insanity rules. Here's what our current Secretary of Defense, Leon Panetta, said about the ceremonial winding down of the war in Iraq. Quote, "To be sure, the cost was high in blood and treasure for the United States and also for the Iraqi people, but those lives have not been lost in vain," end quote. The fighting resulted, Panetta said, in, quote, "a free and sovereign Iraq," end quote. President Obama hailed the, quote, "extraordinary achievement," end quote, of the military and said they were leaving with, quote, "heads held high." He added everything that American troops have done in Iraq, all the fighting and dying, bleeding and building, training and partnering has led to this moment of success, end quote. Would we have felt worse if Republican capitalist John McCain said that? Or is it worse that a Democrat capitalist could glibly make statements that make normal people sick to the core of their being? How to explain what Panetta and Obama said? Were they high on some strange combination of drugs that allowed them to speak lies and gibberish on camera without drooling uncontrollably? Or were they simply parroting the psychopathic capitalist party line? When I was a kid, I was told many times that life in communist Russia was intolerable to freedom-loving people. There was only one party. You could vote, but the candidates were all members of the Communist Party. The regime was always solidly in place, regardless of who won. I am not going to vote for a capitalist in 2012, and don't hand me any of that lesser of two evils crap. To carefully quote George Carlin again, quote, "Good, honest, hardworking people continue to elect these rich bleep suckers who don't give a bleep about them. They don't give a bleep about you. They don't give a bleep about you. They don't care about you at all, at all, at all." End quote. I don't care whether they're a moderate capitalist or not. I don't care if they're short, tall, fat, crazy, stupid, black, white, conservative, or liberal capitalists. I will never vote for any of them again. It appears they don't have my best interests at heart. Meghan Markle, in the book The Field Guide to the Apocalypse, said, quote, "Don't blame yourself. The apocalypse wasn't your fault. Actually, it was just as much your fault as it was anyone else's. Come to think of it, you're an American. It was probably about 80 or 90% more your fault than the average human. But don't let that get you down. It wasn't exclusively your fault. Unless you're the president. Then it might be your fault. But you'll have plenty of interns to tell you that it wasn't. So you'll be fine." End quote. Regards, Bob. Another Moment with Bob, brought to you by your friends at Offshore Drilling. You can find that at tvnewslies.org, probably opednews.com, and hundreds of other websites out there.